Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Vesuvius Committee of the Whole meeting, August the 13th, 2024 at 9 a.m. in council chambers. So I will first of all ask if there are any late items attached to the agenda. Thank you. So could I please have a motion to approve the agenda as printed? Thank you. Councillor King, Councillor Poderica, all in favor. Thank you. And we need to mover and seconder, please, to adopt the Committee of the Whole minutes of July the 16th, 2024. Councillor Chung, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you very much. And we will now go down to petitions and delegations. And first off, we have the Pioneer Car Wash, and we have a presentation from Elfin Anna Cole. Would you like to come up to the microphone, please? And sorry, Alf, can I just introduce our new corporate officer? And I'm sorry, I should have put this in before I asked Alf to come up. Mark Colson is the corporate officer for the town of Vesuvius, and welcome, Mark. Thank you for coming. Sorry, go ahead, Alf. Can you turn on you got it? Other side. Perfect.
There we go.
Yes. And Alf, you know that there's a 5 minutes.
Yes.
You have 5 minutes. Thanks. Thanks. Go ahead.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, councillors. My name is Alf Cole. My wife, Anna. We are the owners of Pioneer Car Wash. We have been for close to 20 years. We've been paying a flat rate for our water for 20 years. 8 years ago, we had a meter put in. I believe it was 8 years ago. They've been monitoring it up to 2021. Then for whatever reason, they cut the cable. Nothing was done after that. We're kind of a unique situation in town. We're the only one. I'd like the town to consider hooking me back up to the water meter so that they can read it for September of 2024. And you've got it in your bylaws as to what your cubic meter of water is. It shouldn't be that difficult to figure out how much water I'm using. Everyone thinks that a car wash uses a ton of water. Well, we don't, because we're under air pressure. We use a small amount of water for the hand bays, maybe a little bit more on the auto side, but at the end of the day, water's water. And we use what we use, but we're getting charged a flat rate. And with the increase that we've incurred in 2024, we're just, we're too far out of line, in my view. And I would like the town to consider charging me for cubic meters of water.
Okay, thank you very much. I will see if council have any questions of Mr. Cole? My understanding, and perhaps I could ask our staff, either Mr. Zackler or Mr. Risling, is that there are 2 meters that are connected to your property right now, 2 meters, a smaller one and a larger one, and that they are, I think, any meter that is being used in town, the amount is being kept, that information is being kept, just that you're not charged on the meter yet. And I believe that is until we have all the meters in. Could Mr. Zackle, could you fill us in on that, please?
So I believe Pioneer Car Wash has 2 meters to it. One of them is a private meter that measures the flows upstairs.
To the apartment.
Correct.
Yeah.
But the one main meter is there, I believe.
Right.
Okay.
So the ability for us to read and bill is there for that.
So the meters, I think Mr. Cole said that they had not been, it had been shut down, but my understanding is that the meters are available to be read, they're just not charged as on the meter, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, thank you for answering that.
The smaller meter was installed for upstairs in my drinking water. The main line coming in has I volunteered for that water meter. And every drop of water that comes into the building goes through there. What goes upstairs gets diverted over to another one, but it's still getting registered with the main water meter.
Oh, okay, so I just had asked that question and I knew that there were two. So, I'm wondering if there is an opportunity for staff to look at how to deal with car washes and whether that is even a possibility to charge via the meter rather than wait until all the meters are in. I'm just not sure and I'm wondering if there are other car washes in other towns that have the same concerns. Would that be a possibility to have staff look into that?
The car wash in Oliver, he asked for the water meter quite a number of years ago. And they installed it for him. They charge him by the cubic meter of water today as we speak.
So I believe Oliver has water meters in all their properties now, and we don't yet, but we are getting, which is why we cleaned up the storage room to put them all in there. Go ahead, Mr. Zacco.
So that fact is correct. In Oliver, back when I worked there, before water meters came into effect in town of Oliver, the car wash there and a couple other corporate properties, that were high-end users, were charged or billed based on water metering. With the rest of them being flat rate at that time, so they did do that for a number of years before the town of Oliver converted over to water metering.
Thank you. And Mr. Zappel, do you know the water meter that is already there at the car wash? Is that for the 4 bays, the outdoor, the 2 indoor and the automatic? Does that cover all of that?
That meter covers all water that's serviced to that property.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We can have a look at that information and just see how what we can do with it. So thank you for coming, council. And next we have the BC Drag It Challenge. And do we have Miss Boudelier online? Mrs. Robinson?
Yes, it looks like we do.
All right.
There she is.
I believe that they're requesting a 1-day drag race at the Osoyoos Airstrip during the BC Drag and Drive event in June 2025. So, Ms. Boudelier, if you're there, could you go ahead, please?
Can you hear us, Miss Bouvier? Diane?
Your phone is still shut off.
Yeah.
Hello, hello, council, honorable mayor and council. We are here.
I'm sorry, we can't hear you very well. Okay.
Hey, Diane. I don't have her.
Can you hear?
We can hear you, but it's spotty, so if you could maybe turn off the camera. And then maybe we could hear you better.
Yeah. Okay.
Diane, can you hear us? Yeah.
Hello.
Um,
Can you hear us?
we can, you might want to take off the Zoom link and just use the phone.
I had to put you on the phone.
And that's okay.
I had to put you on the phone because our internet is very spotty.
That's perfect. We can hear you loud and clear now.
Okay, great. I've got Mark here and he's got a hearing impairment, so it's a little bit different. Sorry about that. And you can hear us okay now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So we are at hockey school and we're in the parking lot. So we really wanted to make this meeting, so here we are. Honorable Mayor and Council, this is Mark and Diane Boutillier, wanting to speak to you about bringing BC Drag It Challenge to Osoyoos in the year of 2025, the month of June. And you're following me so far?
Yes.
Okay. Mark and I have been running the Cache Creek drag races for a few years now. Mark has been involved in drag racing for 40 years plus. Oh gosh. And we have been running Cache Creek drag races, 2 races a year for a few years. We started the BC Drag It Challenge 2 years ago. We've had 2 successful years of the drag and drive. And the drag and drive is a different concept of drag racing. It's racers show up at the first location and then they drag race at that location. Then they have to take everything they want and need with them in their race car and drive to the other locations that are set up by us. So they come into the towns the night before and spend their evening there in hotels and motels and whatever, if they have friends in the neighborhood. And then the next morning they get up and they race for a couple of 3 hours, maybe 5 hours, depends on how many hits they want to take. And then they load up again and drive to the next location and do the same thing for 5 days. So we run it in June of each year. We don't like to do it in July or August because of the busyness of all the towns and the fire seasons and things like that, the lovely things we get. So we have insurance as we have talked to the club in Osoyoos that is running the drag races there, David and the other crew there. We have the same insurance at Cache Creek as we do for BC Drag It Challenge, and as Osoyoos has, the car club has there for Osoyoos location. We have no problem working with the car club that runs the Osoyoos drag races now. We have I made contact with them, a couple of different phone calls, and I don't know. See if Mark has anything to add.
Not much to add, really. The whole concept of the drag and drive is taken off like crazy. In the year 22, there was 11 drag and drives in North America. 23, that's our first one. There was 33 plus one in 3 in Europe and 1 in Australia. And this year, I'm just going to guess there's probably 50 throughout the world now. It's taken off like crazy. It's the best of both worlds. You get to drag race your race car, and at the same time you get to drive it between locations. And there's a whole the term camaraderie just falls into place there because so many of these racers love it because they make new friends, and it's just a fun time. It's just, we're kind of jealous because we don't get to participate in that. We're busy running it. So other than that, it's we, like Diane said, we have talked with David and the crew at a Soyuz. Actually, we went there, I think it was last year, and we volunteered for half a day and helped them run it. And it's a nice facility, nice place to go. So hopefully this will work out.
The reason
Sorry,
why
go
we
ahead.
want to, sorry, the reason why we want to continue with our drag and drive, we have to change locations to show more areas of the province, and that's one of our goals, is the tourism to each area. So the last 2 years we started Cache Creek. There's lots of land there for the racers to leave their tow rigs and things like that. And we have security there, the Lions Club. And then we have been to Prince George, Lillooet, and 100 Mile. And we went to the council on 100 Mile, where we now live, and asked for approval to use their airstrip for this event. And we have approval for last year and this year. And Lillooet is a airstrip that runs 3 or 4 races each year. So we wanted to change it a bit. We'll still try to use some of those, but going to a different direction, showing the beauty of the area down in Osoyoos and Kelowna and Peachland and places like that is our goal for part of the drag and drive for this year. So that's another reason
Thank you very
changed it
much.
a little bit.
Thank you very much, Mark and Diane. We appreciate your enthusiasm, and I'm wondering if we don't have any application here for that. I'm wondering if you would be able to send us information to the town, and so we could have a look at it, including the dates that you're wanting to be here. And my suggestion is that if at the end of June, it's already pretty busy, and if you were going to come here, my suggestion would be to get some accommodation set up pretty quickly, because it might be difficult. We appreciate the fact that you're working with Wine Country Racing, because they are the ones that have set up several different race days with the town, and we assume that they will in 2025. So if you wouldn't mind sending us that information to our town staff, we can certainly have a look at it and get back to you. And I don't see that there would be a problem with accommodating your request. We just need to have that information in writing. Could you do that for us?
Yes, for sure. We've done it typically the 19th to the 23rd of June, and that's our plans for next year. But I will send that in writing to your council CAO.
Thank you.
That's who I've been corresponding with. And so, what do you feel about that? It sounds like a nice event for you guys.
I don't see that there would be. I'm sure we'd be in favor of that. If you would just send us the information, we could look at it and make it sure that it fits with other events that are on in our area, and make sure that you've got your insurance and dates and all that kind of stuff. And it would go to our director Davis, but if you send it to the town, we'll make sure it gets to the right people. Okay?
Great,
Thank
thank
you
you. I have the
Oh, I'm
insurance,
sorry.
I can
Councilor
send it to
King
you.
has a question. Just hang on.
Just a question. Did they use their personal cars in this event?
These are all street race cars. Well, I mean, some of them are their daily drivers. There's new Camaros, new Challengers, and then we've got the older cars like a 53 GMC or a Super B, and they all are street legal vehicles. We have a website, bcdragit.ca.
Is that correct?
Sorry?
They're insured so they can drive on the streets in town?
Absolutely, they have to be insured to pass our tech inspection.
We do an inspection before they leave. When they show up, we do an inspection to make sure all the bells and whistles work, like the horn, the lights, the signals, the
Wipers.
tail lights, wipers. It has to pass. I used to be a DOT inspector as well as an NHRA inspector. But in DOT, it has to have certain things. It has to have suspension, it has to have seatbelts. So we go through that first, and then we start applying the the racing rules to it as well.
That sounds terrific. Thank you very much for that information, and we look forward to hearing from you. Okay.
Thank you.
bye-bye. Thank
Bye.
you. Okay, next we have a second quarterly report from Sergeant Beta. Go ahead, please, Sergeant Beta.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for having me here. I'll be presenting the quarter two stats for the RCMP. If we look at the top, we've got from quarter two of 2003 or 23 to 2024, we're very much in line with the call volume, for more calls than we had the previous year. But when we look year to date compared to 2023, we've had 50 more calls, so our calls have increased in 2024 compared to 2023. With that, you're going to see an increase in different crimes and what have you. Our violent crime totals, look at the total, we've actually gone down just slightly, down by 2 compared to year to date of 2023, which is a good thing. This quarter, however, we saw a few more than the quarter that it compared to in 2023. I'm going to flash over all the stuff and then I'll answer questions if you have specific questions on certain areas. When we get into property crime, where we've seen an increase, and this is an increase right across the whole Okanagan, is auto theft. We've had 12 vehicles stolen just in the quarter two alone, 17 this year already. It's a variety of makes and models, but most commonly targeted are the F-Series Ford pickup trucks. They seem to be stealing these vehicles to use them in other crimes, whether it be a break and enter to a business or what have you, but they use it to transport other stolen property away from the area. We've identified 3 known offenders tied to the majority of these thefts. These offenders are not from here. But we see the offenders traveling around the area quite a bit. We've recovered 67% of the stolen vehicles, and the majority of them have been recovered outside of Osoyoos. So it tells us that the criminals are coming to Osoyoos and then taking them elsewhere. So we found vehicles stolen from Osoyoos. We found them in Vernon. We found 3 of them in Oliver, Midway, Princeton, rural North Okanagan, Kamloops. So there's a wide net that they're traveling to commit crime throughout the whole area. When you look at the number of stolen vehicles, 2 of these were actually taken what we call take auto without consent. So it's a person, it's a friend of another person, or someone's lent the vehicle to someone else, and then they fail to return it. So it's, in a sense, it's considered a theft, but not the same as a normal theft. And there's also one of those in that list that was actually a disputed sale of the vehicles. It's some person's sale, didn't transfer into their name properly, and there was a dispute over the money, so it ends up being a civil matter in the end. Also, when we look at the different crime stats, when we get down to things like mischief to property, break and enter business, or break and enter other, a lot of these things are actually where you'll get numbers for each one, but some of those are actually the same file. So if someone's breaking into a fence compound to steal something, in that file we're going to store it as mischief for the damage that they've done to the lot, and we're also going to store it as a theft for the property that's been taken. So when you look at the numbers, it doesn't necessarily mean that's how many different events there were, but some files will have three events in one just on that file. So I know I talk a lot and I take a lot of your time up, so I just try to flash over them really quickly there, and then like I say, I'm open for questions if someone wants me to talk specifically about certain areas.
So thank you very much. I'm noticing down theft from a vehicle is down, and I'm thinking that's because you have said many times, here's what you need to do to prevent theft from a vehicle. So are you assuming that kind of information and the education that you're providing is working? It's what it would look like to me, down from 8 last year to 6 this year, right?
I'm certainly hoping the education is
Yeah.
helping. In fact, I've actually brought a sign that this is a sign that was made by ICBC that I wanted to show council. This is a sign that we most likely get a number of them, and in partnership with the town. It'd be nice to see if the town works, could put these up at different parks, whether it be at the, parking lots of beaches or different areas. Just to remind people to keep things locked up. I can most likely get these for free and supply to the town. Again, it's just a piece of education, and we're not in the seventies anymore where we leave our vehicles open and today's day we need to lock everything up. It's just a day, the times we're in, unfortunately.
I have one more question and I'll let them. Sex offenses, it's gone up quite a bit. Is that
So.
understandable or?
Yes, so you'll see that,
Yeah.
sex offenses year to date compared to 2023 are actually down considerably when you look year over year.
Yeah.
In the quarter, your sheet will show that there's went up, there was 6 in quarter 2 compared to 3 in quarter 2 of last year. I've actually looked at these and one of them was actually, I was able to take off. Problem when our analyst does these stats, is the files aren't actually fully, some of the files aren't fully investigated yet. So we get these and then by the time I look at them and there's more investigation done, this file will be scored differently. So we actually have 5 sex offenses. And none of these are stranger on stranger. So what I mean by that is we don't have a sexual predator out there, dragging people in the bushes. These are people that have met. 2 cases are people that have met at a nightclub and left together, and then things went a certain way where that weren't acceptable. 3 of those offenses are actually indecent acts. So that's and 2 of those indecent acts involved one person, a person that is without a house, they're homeless, and we get reports of them when they're changing in the open or things like that, and they're not taking care to ensure that they're covering themselves up away from the public when they're doing so.
Okay, thanks. Councillor King.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. It's great to hear that you're recovering a lot of these auto thefts. Are you being able to charge any of these people or actually find the people?
Yes, some. I don't have the actual stats on those because the majority of those, like I say, they're being taken out of our town. And so when they're being found, if they're being found with the suspect, the charges are happening in a different jurisdiction.
And then if the charges, they actually go to court or they just kind of revolve the door and get let out the next day?
I wish I can give my honest opinion on that. So some are going to court, as to what they're getting charged with. Yeah, it's hit or miss.
Okay, I got one other question. Sidebar, there's a lot of parking up north of the golf course up the hill there. And we get reports that nothing seems to be done. I know it's kind of out of your hands because it's Crown land, but I keep understanding you hear it, or there's more people up there now than there was previously.
Yeah, it's a good question. I know I've spoke before about this and the assistance we provide to the natural resource officers to take steps to get the people out there. I may have overstepped on some of the things that I said in the media before, because I really don't have any jurisdiction over that. So I wish the process was quicker. I wish, I don't know if we need to get the province involved a little more, but I think the questions are better directed at the Natural Resource Office for the province.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have a question? Are you going to talk about net zero emission vehicles? Is that, I just, we were provided this information and I just think there had been a question. Go ahead, Councillor John.
Thank you. I know there's been some recent discussion about golf carts on Lake Shore and golf cart use in Dividend Bridge. And I thought with Sergeant Beta being present today, we might take the opportunity to maybe have some clarity as to, there's some, Vancouver just allowed rentals of their golf carts, but they're very different from the traditional golf cart. Yeah, so I think another refresher on net zero emission vehicles would be nice.
Yeah, so the reason you're providing this is Councillor Chung, emailed me and advised me that this was something that he would like me to look into and bring to council, so. Golf carts, first of all, golf carts are not net zero emission vehicles, and they're totally different things. So a net zero emission vehicle, in essence, is a four-wheel electric powered vehicle, that can travel up to 40 kilometers per hour or less. The government has, through Transport Canada, they need to approve the vehicle. And it needs to bear the national safety mark. So these vehicles have signal lights, they have seat belts. They have all the safety equipment that's required on a regular vehicle. Unlike a golf cart doesn't, or majority of golf carts do not have the safety equipment. So when you see other towns, and there are a number of towns, Soyce is a great community for it because we're a small community, we're a tourist community, and everything is close to us. A lot of small towns like this are starting to allow net zero emission vehicles. Or low speed, they call them neighborhood vehicles, low speed vehicles, you hear a bunch of different terms. But again, I'd encourage council to Google what a net zero emission vehicle is and actually look at the images of them. They're very different from a golf cart in the sense that again, they have safety features. So in order for those to be operated in a municipality, the government already allows them to be operated outside or unincorporated areas on roads that do not exceed 50 kilometers per hour. And every road is called a highway. So when I say highway, okay? So any highway that's under 50 or 50 kilometers less, that's outside of a town, technically they're permitted as long as they're insured through ICBC, the person has a driver's license. So in essence, they're like a regular vehicle, the rules other than where they can go. To operate in a municipality, the municipality has to have a bylaw that permits them. And then that bylaw would also have to pick an area where they can be driven. For instance, if you want to drive from the golf course to Main Street in one of these net zero emission vehicles, you wouldn't be able to come down to Highway 97 and along Highway 97 because the speed limit in that area is 60 kilometers per hour. So it wouldn't be permitted. You would have to cross Highway 97 and use 62nd and get to town. So you would need to determine routes that these vehicles can travel on, and then they would have to be signed, and the signage that other towns are putting actually say that net zero emission vehicles are permitted, but underneath that you'll see a second sign where it has shows a golf cart with the circle and a line through it, they're not permitted. Because a lot of people don't understand the difference. So it's something that I know the town doesn't have a bylaw in place right now. So to answer the question of whether you can drive them on our streets, no, you can't. But that's something that council's free to look at down the road if they want to change that.
Thank you. Did you have anything?
Oh, no, just thank you. And also, there was brought to my attention that you have a video regarding the lifeguard, or the life jacket station on Castanet. I would encourage the public to watch it. I think there's a lot of good information on it. Was there anything you wanted to add to that video as well?
Yeah, so thanks for bringing that up, Councilor Chung. So with our APP or our priorities plan, one of the things is again, bring down property crime, so that's why, and ways to do it, that's why I bring the sign here as a way. The other one priority is traffic safety and marine safety. And as you're aware, we partnered with the Rotary to build this life jacket station, and thankfully, I'm thankful to the town for providing us the property to do that on. So Castanet actually approached me to do an on camera talk about water safety. So we ended up doing it at the life jacket station. One of the things I want people to understand is when this life jacket station is built, it's not strictly for people out on boats. And we have a lot of families that are traveling through town and stop at our beautiful beaches and then water to take a break, and they have children, and they may not have been planning to go for a swim or to stop at our beaches. by all means, they can go over to that station, grab a life jacket for their child, so their child can safely play on the beach. We know that, it's statistically, children are the leading, or children lead the best in drownings. But that's when you take everything, all drownings into consideration. That's when you take, children that have slipped away from their parents and drowned in a pool or a pond or things like that. On the lake itself here, the majority of the drownings we've had are adults, and that's why the station will give the life jackets for adults and children. But when a child's on the beach and it's a busy beach and it's easy for them to slip away, certainly put a life jacket on.
Can you explain, I know that you're in the process of building it now, are you planning to have it operational soon or, and the other question I had was, if I borrow a life jacket, do I just go and hang it up there after I've used it, or does it get
Yeah, so,
washed, or, I don't know.
yeah,
Can you?
no, that's a good question. So time frame for completion, I don't have. This is all being done through donations and then through volunteer work. So I went down last Wednesday and we had a large number of volunteers working on it, and went down and thanked them. Real good community spirit. We love to see things like that. That's what's bringing this together. And so this Wednesday, they're gonna, work on it again. We've got different steps to take. We've hired, we've had an artist, the same artist that worked on Session Sports, the building. He's volunteered to do his artwork on our station, and that'll be painting the mural and things. So a lot of it's gonna take time. I don't have a time frame when it'll be done, but we're full speed ahead right now. As far as returning life jacket, it is the honor system. You need one, borrow one, just make sure you're taking one that is sized for the person who's gonna use it, and then you simply return it when you're done.
Thank you very much. Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, this Friday, there's another working group going down on Friday morning, and basically Ron was there. And it's pretty neat being down there, because I went down with Rotary, but there's a lot of people that were from out of town that just heard about it and came down there and volunteered. That weren't volunteers, they were just people in town that just thought it was a great idea, so kudos to you. So the roof should be on this Friday and all ready for painting and move on to there.
Yeah, well, I think really just kudos to the town, and all the folks that are helping with it. Like I said, it takes a community to build something like this, and that's what I've seen. Appreciate it.
Great, thank you very much, and thank you for providing that information for us today. Okay, if there are no other questions of Sergeant Vega, we will see you later. And we will move on now to staff reports. And our first one is our Community Services Quarterly Report. Director Davis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is just gonna do a couple of highlights for the second quarter for the Community Services Department. Everybody can see that the LED sign was installed along the highway. We're actually bringing something back this afternoon for a policy to hopefully help us work with that. We also actually put and installed an accessible ramp from the mezzanine to the second floor to get seated, which is going to be a very good highlight come the start of the season for the Coyotes. In terms of bringing in new technology and helping reduce some of our greenhouse gas emissions, the electrical consumption at the Sun Bowl Arena was lower by 6.5%. And natural gas was down by 13%. If both natural gas and the electrical, services were being reduced by those suppliers, maybe we would see a benefit, but maybe that's not enough yet. We processed 9 special events and 11 park use permits throughout this quarter. Total Body Fit led the second quarter with over 500 participants, and they had over 20 classes. We had a whopping 3,178 membership check-ins for the second quarter. And we were successful in receiving a grant from Spark BC for $25,000 for the purchase of the accessibility trailer, which got placed at Gyro Park just here in 2 weeks ago.
And you were on the front page of the paper last week.
I saw that in my big purple shirt. And that's it. Madam Mayor.
Oh, thank you very much. It was interesting to look through the community connections, the organization and the length of time that you have a contract with them and when the expiry dates are. So there's a couple of them, the art gallery, September 2024, and Studious Lawn Bowling of September 24. So are you in the process of redoing those or looking at those contracts?
Yes, Madam Mayor, if everything works out with the sailing club, we do have an option to renew. For the same terms and conditions, otherwise it'll all come back to council for approval. But the art gallery for sure will come back in September.
Great, thank you very much. Any other questions for Director Davis? No, thank you. And we'll now do the corporate services quarterly report and Director Colson. Or our deputy director, deputy corporate officer, go ahead.
I'd like to do this quarterly report if that's okay.
Sure.
So we're in the busy time of year. I just want to point out a few things. Bylaw enforcement is still dealing with a lot of dogs at large. A lot of our bylaw time in the second quarter went to a dog that we had brought in and trying to find a place for the dog to be homed before it could be adopted out. Those are a lot of things that are going on in the background, and our bylaw officers are very compassionate and want to make sure that the animals that we have in our care are being looked after, so they do spend a lot of time walking them in that. It's been a very busy year for unsightly properties, started earlier in the year, and that quarter they have been able to secure some contractors who are able to put bids in, which is nice for this year, as last year we didn't have that, we weren't that successful in finding those. I'd like to say that we seem to be getting more compliance in the boat trailer parking lot, less tickets are being written, but the boat trailer parking lot is quite full. We had, at some time, as soon as it opened, everyone's been really good. I'd like to point out that our website is quite active. And to point out that the Osprey Cam is a huge success with us. We have lots of people who comment on it, are really happy when they see the different stages of life with our Osprey. So I just want to point out that that is a successful one. We're still posting for jobs in the second quarter. We had 8 postings out. We've successfully found a corporate officer and director of corporate services, which I'm very excited about. We also hired in the second quarter, community services assistant, Teresa Kraft, fire department administrative support, Amanda Webb, and relief program assistant, Trisha Highmore. And then that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Council, any questions of Mrs. Robinson? So I think we probably have some other, listings out there for jobs, and are there any, interviews or people being looked at? Or can I ask that question? We hope there are people that are applying to be here. We got anything in the works right now, or?
Thank you, Your Worship. We're still struggling on the operations side. I want to give a huge kudos, which is gonna be part of my quarterly report update, for the 2 days. It's before 16, filling in, they're running their tails off, keeping up with things, and I'll talk about that more in the quarterly report. So we're still struggling with the director position, where it's reposted, and hopefully we'll have a success this next go around. I do just want to give a big shout out to Ms. Robinson for doing an incredible job for the last several months. I can't express my gratitude enough, just the amount of effort that's been put in. I don't think a lot of people understand how busy we are, especially during the summer months, and being down some key people puts a lot of pressure on those that are still standing. In addition to Ms. Robinson, the team itself, pulled up their pants and does an incredible job. We also have, the other directors as well, like what's left is putting in, an incredible amount of additional time. And I just wanted to give a huge shout out to the entire team. I think just the number of complaints that we receive, and I mean, we're always gonna get those, but really, I think we've been treading water and keeping above the water line for the most part, and that just goes to an incredible team prioritizing and dealing with the things that mean most to this community, which is the kind of busy summer season and dealing with those highest priorities. So I need to thank them, and also members of the public. You know, I think the public are seeing some passion, and understanding that we have limited resources, and dedicating our resources to those highest priorities is another thing that we've got to do. And sometimes what may be important to some people, we just can't get to, but it is a lower priority, and we do get some compassion in regards to that, or some understanding as to what we need to prioritize. So thanks to the team, and also to the residents.
Well, absolutely. I think we certainly all agree. We thank you, Mr. Isling, and the whole team, because you have been available, and even though some people are supposed to be on holiday, they seem to show up all the time. And I know that some of you need to take some more time off, and because you've been working long hours. So absolutely, thank you very much. Councillor Bennett, did you want to add?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to hand out to the people out at the landfill. I went up there last week, and usually I hear people complaining all the time. And the lady out there, I think her name was Nicole, was wonderful and had a great personality. And I thought, wow, this is really great. So congratulations.
That's great to hear as well. Thank you. Okay, so now we will ask Director Zackel to give us the financial services report.
Thank you, Mayor Reporto. So just wanted to welcome back Kalua Gordon. She's our senior accounting clerk that's come back from maternity leave. And likewise, thank Nelia Morera for her dedication and hard work during the year that she was covering. She's still going to be working for us in a really capacity. But that transition has happened now, and I'd like to thank both of the ladies. Tax collection came and went fairly smoothly, and we noticed a number of additional deferments that were processed this year. But the tax collection volumes were consistent with previous years. Our second quarterly surpluses, our general fund is projected to have a $674,000 surplus. Our sewer fund, $85,000 surplus. Water fund, a $30,000 surplus. And the Sun Bowl, $500 surplus. If there's any questions of council regarding the second quarter.
I have a question, because you just mentioned it, property tax deferment applications. I think there are some people who think that when they ask for a tax deferment, which you can do at age 55, I believe, that the town loses out on that money. And I don't believe they do. Could you explain that, please?
No, so the property tax deferments, a property owner is responsible to claim their homeowner grant, pay their utilities, their water, their sewer, and garbage if it's on, they're being charged. The balance of that tax amount can be deferred through the province if the property owner has enough equity in their property. So they all make the application to the province for the deferment of the property taxes. Province processes that, sends us the notification. We provide the details of the dollar value that would be the deferment amount. Once approved by the province pays the town that amount of taxes, which then gets applied to the property owner's account. So then the debt from that deferment for that current year would be applied against their property and be registered on their property as a lien.
And that happens when the property changes hands, that has to be paid right away.
That would have to have or be paid if the property sells.
Yes.
It is being charged interest based on what the province prescribes as their interest rate. Property owner also has the ability to pay that debt off if they wish, without selling their property. It's just, it gives them a tool to utilize the equity of their property, to make it easier, for them.
So, true story, I applied for deferment on my property and my daughter was also on title. But then she got married and moved to the States. So what I had to do was pay the back taxes and now it's just me on the title, but they caught that very quickly. And that's okay, that's the way it should be. And so that was changed. So just, you know, a change of title, selling the property triggers that you have to pay those back taxes. But it was the fact that the town does get the money to
Yes.
use, and that was the important part.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Is there anybody else? Go ahead, Councillor King.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Your outstanding invoices, is that just a timing issue?
Correct. You'll find, that there's some large invoices that show 30 days, 60 days. And it is totally a timing issue. We collect 95% of the, outstanding invoices, and I think there may be one that I'm considering having to bring to council for consideration of a bad debt, but not this time.
Thank you. Okay, next one is the fire department quarterly report. Mr. Risman, are you going to talk to that one?
Yes, so thank you, your worship. Just a couple highlights within the fire department. I think that a real positive news, the number of calls over this quarter over last quarter declined about 58%. We attribute that probably to the cooler spring. Didn't notice that in the last 6 weeks, but earlier in the spring, we did have, that was a little damper, and that probably assisted in the overall call reduction. Well, 54% of our calls are right to the town of Suez, and the remainder is to the rural fire protection area. I just wanted to, on page 56 of 86, there's a paragraph there that indicates, you know, the 39% decrease from our 2024 fourth quarter. That should actually read as the second quarter. So it's a little bit of a typo there. Other things I'd like to just highlight, we have a couple of firefighters that received their firefighter 1 and 2 certificates. Firefighter Kate Grant and firefighter Anthony Basic achieved that milestone, so kudos to those folks. And this council is aware, about a month or so ago, there was an update on the fire underwriter survey, which was fairly positive. The overall scores came in better than previous, which shows that the investment in the fire department is hopefully going to result in some savings through insurance. And that concludes the fire department report.
Thank you very much. I just want to say that how much that I appreciate the fact that the fire department, several members and the trucks come down to Market on Main once a month on a Saturday. And kids love to come and they get a boost up into the fire truck, and they get to ask questions of the firefighters. And so I think that's a very positive thing. I even got talked into buying a shirt, but I haven't worn it yet. I'll have to pick my time. And I believe that on Saturday this week, are you going to mention that later, Mr. Risman? Okay, good, in your report, because the firefighters are doing a special event on Saturday. Okay, thank you very much. And next we have operational services quarterly report, and that's Mr. Risman again.
Thank you, your worship. First thing I'd like to identify on page 6986, there's some stats there with regards to water quality concerns. The number of concerns is correct. It's just the months, January, February, March, would be April, May, and June. Just the little bit of typo that will be corrected once. That's the, I guess, agenda on the website again. With operational services, people are aware, we've been evolving our performance measures, and so we have a lot of our measures put into this report. We don't have comparators yet, so the quarterlies have been in a bit of a transformation, and operations is it's got some good performance measures, but we don't have really good comparisons for past years. I just want to give a massive kudos to the department in being understaffed significantly, and still meeting the day-to-day requirements has been really remarkable. Again, toned back a lot of our bigger projects, but the ones that people notice most, the team has been, I think, just doing a phenomenal job in keeping up with those things. And I do want to give a massive kudos, additional massive kudos to the 2 days and acting superintendent's roles. They are putting in enormous hours. They're not only doing superintendent's roles, but also part of the director roles. They're still going on call with the utilities in the evenings, and unfortunately, just not this past week, the previous two. Now they go on call. Typically, we get maybe 2 calls on a weekend for the calls. Last 2, they were 22 each. So they're pretty tired, and we're gonna try to do something to try to relieve some of that pressure on, especially the utilities area. So just a phenomenal effort by the group, and hanging on for the next few weeks to hopefully things slow down a little bit, and yeah, so just a big thank you to them.
Thank you, and absolutely, they've done a great job. I particularly like the capital program, the list of projects that are there, which ones are in the process of being done on schedule, and which ones have obviously had to be delayed for a while through not only funding, but the fact that we don't have the people ready to be doing that. And also on the last page, the 2024 projects of note. I think that was that's a good look at the things that are being done and an update on what's happened. So thank you very much. I like that, the way that's handled. Any questions? No? Okay, let's go on to planning and development services quarterly report, and that would be Mr. Risman again.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Taking many roles today.
Yeah, so the planning and development department, the big changes occurred the last few months, and this quarter, the RDOS is showing the planning function have been doing an extraordinary job. The big things that have been occurring in that area are with regards to the legislative requirements of our zoning bylaw, and so that area has been extremely busy with most recent open house information session just a couple of weeks ago. So that's the big thing that's occurring there. So part of my other update for the short-term rentals, I know that's something that's still out there. Hopefully we'll get some update from our consultants. This isn't the RDOS. Well, RDOS is assisting us with it, but we have contracted out to Urban Systems, and so hopefully the public will get and council will get an update on some of our options and how we proceed with that to the 2025 calendar year. Hopefully September, but I said that in July to August, so that June to July, so yeah, so we're waiting for that. So and it is a very busy place, all the legislative changes, and yeah, getting closer to that finish line.
Thank you. I like the report on the summary of residential development projects and completion dates. I think that's important because we go through that, we okay it, we know it, and then sometimes we lose sight of it because it's sort of in the works. And I think an update on that, on a quarterly report is really important for us to see, so thank you very much. Anything else? Alrighty. I think that that is all of our staff reports that we have. And we will now look at, the quarterly council strategic priorities chart. Mr. Risley.
Thank you, Your Worship. As council is aware, I will go through, for the benefit of the public, start this term, council sat down, establish some priorities. And approve that early in the term, so it's a nice one pager that illustrates to the public as well as the administration what council's priorities are. This priority chart gets updated quarterly. We provide updates on like where we're at on some of the items, if they're on schedule or delayed or close to being done. Council also approved shortly after the strategic priorities chart as an infrastructure strategy. That again provides its administration and the public with I guess some guidance as to what council's expectations are as far as looking at our assets. So then the report, the attachment 1, provides an update on the previously or currently approved strategic priorities chart. As council is aware, the last update we provided was about a quarter ago, May 14th. But every project was delayed. We extended a lot of the deadlines, and that was because of the prolonged budget discussions as well as losing staff. So a lot of changes were made at the May 14th meeting. We extended a lot of the deadlines into the fourth quarter of 2024. So not too much progress has been made on the priorities. We've been focusing our attention on the highest priorities from an operational perspective, although we are making some progress on some of the larger projects associated with the water treatment plant and the water metering. We'll provide an update this afternoon to council on and kind of see what update. Yeah, so this is an opportunity for council to take a look at the strategic priorities, to ask questions, and probably more importantly, to take a look at, potentially making some changes if they so choose. And yeah, just general discussion, what council would like administration to focus on. Thank you.
Council, any suggestions? One of the things that we had talked about on there was medical professionals recruitment. And yesterday I got an update on the PRRI. Now what the heck is that? It's I have to look it up. It's for professional recruitment anyway. What I did write was a response to this, and it's a quote that's being sent to the Ministry of Health. It's important that we find positive ways to continue supporting healthcare in the South Okanagan. The PRRI is a much needed program that encourages nurses, allied health and clinical workers to come to our communities and support local residents and visitors in our communities and at South Okanagan General Hospital. And it is a program, it'll be out today, this report and something from Minister MLA Russell. I'm sorry I had to do it really quickly last night and provide that. But they're going to get some money to help bring healthcare workers to the South Okanagan and provide them with some money to continue working here, and not only with doctors, but also at South Okanagan General. So it's a good thing. The news report will be out today, and the release from the Ministry of Health will be much much more in depth than that. So that's one of the things that we were talking about, medical professionals recruitment, that as an advocacy. I think the zoning bylaw, while it's delayed, is certainly in the works and it's being looked at, and I can see that that it's not June or July, but I'm sure that by this fall, we will see more information on that one. Anybody else have anything? Go ahead, Councillor Chung.
Thank you. Kind of following up on the medical professional recruitment. I've been working with kind of, business, the special projects kind of group with, headed by Dr. Creighton or Oliver. Because she also, is the head for the UBC Med School residency program for rural health, I believe. But the whole goal of this group is to retain some of these residents. This year, so they're coming in, we're gone, for UBCM during that week, but they're here for one day. And then next year, they're gonna add another date for a series specific. So, maybe not a priority right now, but maybe in a quarter or two, it's something they want to beef up a little bit for that recruitment effort. But I'll keep staff and council updated in terms of timelines.
And we did get, somebody from Alberta that was, or the Saskatchewan, I think, that has come in and joined the team in Oliver, so that's a good thing. That happened a month or two ago. So that's part of what you're, okay, there's too many things going on. There also, I was at a meeting this summer where with Mayor Johansson and Interior Health, and they're applying to the Ministry of Health to put some residential housing for healthcare workers right on a piece of property attached to South Okanagan General. And that, I believe there's a meeting at UBCM concerning this, and hopefully that will move forward. So that's a good thing. Anything else?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Councillor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On the strategic plan on the attachment number 3, it talks corporate services about the water meter and billing assessment initial setup. Could you give me an update on how that's going?
Certainly, Councillor King. So things did get delayed, and a few reasons for that. Number one is, again, loss of staff, but number two was it was an extremely difficult RFP to work through and a ton of negotiations even after the RFP closed. So there's been a ton of work behind the scenes on this project. I've learned a lot, actually. Things just as simple as just installing a water meter. No, there is so much in addition to that. So we are hopeful that this is going to actually commence at some point in September. So we're going to be, we've got some deliveries that are going to be occurring in September, and the communication that's going to be going out. So we're getting close to actually the hands-on installation. There's a ton of communications that will be issued regarding it, setting up scheduled times for people for the installers to install them. So there is a ton of things going on, and very shortly there'll be some stuff going out just to roll out this program.
So then we had hired someone to actually install them, we just hadn't know quite the timeline.
Yes, so we are going with Neptune. They're probably the largest meter company in Canada, North America. They also subcontract a lot of work out, and my understanding that the September things will start moving in that direction. I think they're doing some of the larger meters first, so it's the whole process that they're going through. I know the water meters are ordered, they're coming on site here within the next month. And so just working on the final details of really starting the program. Yeah, which we hope towards the end of September. I'm not sure exactly when we're doing more of the communication to the more of the residential. But I believe at least at this stage, we're targeting some of the larger property owners first, they're larger than here. So some of those really fine details, they're still a little bit tentative.
And my assumption is that there's certain months of the year that this is gonna be able to happen, and probably during the winter when it's pretty cold, or can they work?
My understanding is that they're gonna go pretty hard here over the
Okay.
next,
Okay, thank
you
you.
know, at least next 6 to 8 months.
Good.
We're hoping that the vast majority, if not all, are gonna be completed by, April next year, April, May. So let's keep our fingers crossed that everything falls in line, and I think most of the materials, you know, they've been ordered. I don't think there's too many back orders on things, so let's just keep our fingers crossed that we can, meet those timelines. And obviously, there's a lot more work after that. Once we get that, then we've got to start analyzing the data and potentially looking at opportunities to actually change the rate structure, which is what the council's talked about. But we need to install first so that we can look at the data and determine what seems to be the best approach for billing. Considering not only normal water restrictions and trying to conserve water out there, but also to consider the situation we're in as far as our water quantity. So there's lots of work to be done.
Thank you. Are there any other questions, council? Okay, I'm thinking that it's time to Councillor Federica. Do we need to receive this report from this, okay, so
So
we're not we're not doing any changes on here, or are we?
Your worship, so
Yes.
attachment 3 includes proposed changes.
Okay.
So if council likes some of those changes or doesn't want to change them, you should make a motion saying yes, they approve attachment 3, and then it will come forward to council for final approval. So it's the attachment 3 that right now has been changed to addressing some of the administrative issues that we're having as far as staffing, but council certainly can make additional changes. So, but if not, the recommendation is to.
Councillor King?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll recommend option 1, that the community hall recommended council approves the amended strategy party chart, all no changes, I guess.
We can do the committee of the whole recommendation.
Oh, number 3, sorry.
Yeah.
Recommend number 3.
I don't have mine as numbers, so you're. Okay, got it. So number 3, that the committee of the whole recommends that council approve the strategic priorities chart. Attachment 3. That it? Okay, is there a seconder? Thank you very much. That's seconded. All in favor? Thank you, everyone. Okay, now, okay, or did you have something else?
Then your worship, if there's no changes to the infrastructure strategy, you can either actually leave it the way it is, or you can actually ask to approve a change, which is simply just a date change. So there's no changes recommended on the infrastructure strategy, but if you want to keep the dates aligned, then council could consider passing recommendation number 4.
Councillor Federica? Is there a seconder? Councillor Bennett? All in favor? Thank you. Okay, we're good.
Thank you, your worship.
Councillor Federica? Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Chong, seconded that. All in favor? Thank you, everybody.